This is another episode of Talks with Tyler ISD, a podcast about the passionate people who have a heart for students. This podcast is brought to you by Texas Bank and Trust. Welcome back to another episode of Talks with Tyler ISD. I'm your host, Jennifer Hines, and joining us today is Dr. Bobby Markle, who is the principal of Caldwell Arts Academy. Thank you for joining us.
Exciting.
Of course, today I get to say doctor. You haven't been on in a while. Last time
it's been a while.
Mister, so you've gotten your doctorate. Congratulations.
I did. Thank you very much. It's good to get that out of the way.
I bet. Well, tell us a little bit
coming.
about your background for those that have not listened to our other podcasts that we've had in the past. But I mean, you are a Tyler ISD kid first, and through.
Yeah.
Now all the way to principal.
Yeah. So I went to Andy Woods, which I don't like to mention very often. Just kidding. No, I loved Andy Woods. I lived right by Green Acres growing up, so I would bike to school every day, and it was my neighborhood school. And then I went on to Moore Middle School before it was a magnet school, and loved that experience. And then finished out at Lee, now Legacy. So, yeah.
Hey, wonderful. And you're going into your ninth year as a principal at Caldwell Arts Academy.
Yeah, I am. So I've been at Caldwell for a while. Started off in the district at Ramey as an assistant principal, and then Bonner for 1 year as a principal. And I've been at Caldwell for 9 years. So it's been a journey for sure.
And you just have really built this up. I mean, Caldwell is having a year, if I can say so. I mean, it's unreal. Let's start about the award that you won this past summer for the school, the Leader in Me, which is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Franklin Covey. A lot of people remember that. Yeah. So Leader in Me is the kid version, the student version that we have district-wide. But y'all got the Lighthouse Award. Tell us a little bit about that, the process, and what that means for Caldwell Arts Academy.
Yeah. So, that itself, I might use the word journey apparently all day with this, because it was something that we started about 2 years ago. And talking to our local consultant at the time, they felt like what our school culture resembled was leadership. And so there are some things that you have to do within their guidelines, obviously, and they give you a rubric. So we started working with them on what would that really look like at Caldwell. We want to make sure that what we do at Caldwell and what Leader in Me is kind of marries together, so it's ours. We can own it and we can do it. So by the time we got all that done, we submitted sometime in the spring. We had a lot of review sessions with Leader in Me consultants and advisors, and then they come back and they score you. And thankfully, on the first go around, we got it. So I think just the due diligence of our teachers and my leadership team and just community investments has really made sure that we were ready to go. But I think the best part about it is just what it does for kids. Our campus really leaned into student jobs. They really leaned into student-led conferences. So, ownership and agency for kids is one of the things we try to promote. And so I think Leader in Me is probably the best vehicle for us to do that. So it's been great. And to be recognized for that, our staff was real relieved. I don't know, because they didn't want to keep trying or the work. But either way, we just leaned even harder. I mean, we came back in September and had our first student-led conference as a part of our open house experience, so that parents are starting to connect to what it means. That's our next little venture in this, is how do we get parents to be a part of the Lighthouse process through what their students are doing at school. So just because you get an award doesn't mean you stop. So we're going to keep pushing through. But the award just kind of stabilizes us into the work we do and really promotes to others, hey, it's doable. You can do things like this. And that's what we kind of hope.
And it definitely helps with all of that social, emotional learning portion of it, the leadership part, taking ownership of your education. It really is a great program, and y'all are the second school to get the Lighthouse status in Tyler ISD, so that's pretty amazing. But let's talk about the most amazing one, because you're the first school in Tyler ISD to get this award, and this is just, one of 31 schools in Texas to get the National Blue Ribbon Award this year. That is phenomenal. For those that don't know, that are listening to this podcast, in order to get this award, you have to be nominated by the Texas Education Commissioner, and also the governor has to sign off on it too. So any school across the United States has to be submitted by their state's education representative.
Yeah.
So not only were you selected at that level, but then you were selected at the national level. Tell us a little bit about that. That's super exciting.
Yeah, I'm going to get a little goosebumpy because I'm going to tell a quick backstory that actually ties back into Leader in Me. So Muriel Summers, who kind of helped promote the idea of putting highly effective habits into the schools through Leader in Me. I met her 15 years ago.
Wow.
When I was in Galveston, and we were starting that. It was a new program, so and at that time she was consulting, and so one of her big wigs, wildly important goals, was to be a blue ribbon school, and back then you could apply for it. So for whatever reason, as I read her story and heard her talk, I just kept having this imaginative dream of, man, I would love to be a part of a school that could do something like that. Not really knowing how to do it, not really saying that I could do it, just, I think educators have big dreams. And so one of the dreams coming full circle to last about February was, yes, we got the call that, hey, our school had been pulled off of a list of schools that had done what they needed to do to get nominated. And like I said, I mean, I'm not necessarily a crier, but it was very emotional. It was very emotional for me. It's very emotional for our staff, as people found out, because it means something. It means that you're standing apart from what other schools are striving to do. You're standing above that with achievement. And I think the work we've started at Caldwell around academics, everybody knows us for the arts, but our academic prowess is also very strong in what we want to do, because we want well-balanced kids. We want kids that are holistic in nature. So the Lighthouse is a part of that process, because we want them to be socially, emotionally invested. We've had other achievements within the arts, but to get recognized for the work we do every day in academics, I think
that's huge.
Huge, yeah.
It's a win-win, a win on the art side and a win on the academic side.
Yeah.
And of course, this award, they look at those with, super high academic success, but also success in closing the gaps. Y'all have really moved the needle on that as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, that may be hearing this for the first time, perception of what Caldwell is. We try to make sure they understand. I'm wearing traditional Hispanic garb for Hispanic Heritage Month, because we're 44% Hispanic at our school. We're about 30% white, and the rest would be African American. And so it's a very diverse culture when you come see our school. So to say that we're closing the gaps is even a bigger honor, because it means that we are working towards an all-student environment as best we can. Obviously, we have some really high achievers, and that just comes with the territory. But artists come in all forms and fashions. So to get into our school, you have to be talented in the arts. And then our job is to make sure you can academically fulfill your obligations. So closing the gaps is something we are all working to do. So to be pulled out even further into that category, I think really means a lot for those Saturdays we're at school, for helping those kids, the after-school tutorials, the in-house tutorial, anything we can do to help a kid grow is great. To be recognized for.
That's wonderful. Well, and let's talk about the huge celebration we had just a few weeks ago.
Man, it was a party.
Ooh, it was so fun. I mean, they had closed down the street on the brick streets right there across from the school. You had the band, you had the drill team, you had your drum line out there. The mayor was there, lots of dignitaries, a proclamation from the city, and then the seal. Super excited about y'all to get the big blue ribbon seal for the front of the school.
Yeah. It's hard. At the end of the day, I feel like we are all humbled and honored by the experience, but feels really good to be able to show out a little bit. So I think, Monday was a great day for our community to come together and just be really proud of itself, and to have our students be able to lead the performances in the groups. That makes something unique for us as a K-8 campus, to have a jazz band and a drum line, and that are, Mr. Warren turned over to me and said, the mayor, and goes, "Wow, where did you get the jazz band?" I said, "Man, those are our kids."
Yeah.
He goes, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, those are our kids."
These are all our kids.
So just, what a great day to celebrate kids and to celebrate families and the community, and just loved every minute of it.
Yeah, and it just goes to show all of the vital strategies that y'all have in place, not only with the Lighthouse Leader in Me Award, but the U.S. Department of Education National Blue Ribbon Award, that you have those strategies in place in order to support and enhance the student experience at Caldwell, which you kind of touched on this a little bit ago of everybody thinks of y'all as the arts. And one thing that I think a lot of people may not realize is Caldwell is not just some talent show school, some, like you're going to go get on The Voice or that sort of thing. You really have things in place to make sure that y'all are set apart, and academics is one of those.
Mm-hmm. Lots of things, really. I think going back to that word journey, 9 years ago when I stepped into the role as principal and started meeting all the staff and building a leadership team and building strong PTA, Caldwell Arts Alliance. These are two of our parent groups that come alongside of us. Everything we've built, I think, is about student success. The district's vision of successful student outcomes, we take as literally as possible. We want everything we do. So, in creating our school culture, I think it's really been a testament to nothing is easy, but it's worth doing because we want to win. We want to be great at what we do. And sometimes we're winning against ourselves just as much as maybe we're competing against others. And that's something we teach the kids through a lot of different structures in our school, so that our mission of enhancing the whole child through the arts is really a realization. It's not just words. So the whole child is walking away from us, hopefully confident, critical thinker, problem solver, skill-oriented, talent-oriented, and what they choose to do with that after us is really up to them. But I do think all the success they're feeling right now is because we are living up to that standard as best as possible.
Well, and I know the artistic approach, it really does help students with both sides of their brain, and early introduction of the arts for children. It helps in multiple areas like memory, concentration, attention, and y'all are a K-8 campus, so they do really get that full experience through both elementary and middle school. And also it's kind of a great spot for some students that have that creative outlet just naturally to find their niche.
Absolutely.
Pretty amazing. And then of course you have the academics to back it up. Texas Education Agency, y'all are an A-rated campus.
That's right. And I could use this example. I know it's probably hard to see on a podcast, but I work out all the time. That's a joke. I don't really work out. But I do consider it like a workout. I think anybody that's effective at that, you don't just train one muscle. You've got to train your whole body. So yesterday, I'm walking classrooms and hanging out at different spaces, and to see kids go from honors-based math, where they're working out inequalities with unrational numbers and things like that, to switch over to a music class where I heard Nirvana's "Smells Like Teen Spirit," where they're it's all kid led, and the kids are doing this one kid's doing a guitar solo from memory, but also just improv. To just see that constant movement towards building their whole selves in the brain, I do think has a lot of attribution to attributes a lot to what we do, and the success they have. And I agree with you 100%. And if you come see it makes a lot more sense. When you just say it's an art school or what have you,
you got to walk the halls.
Because it's just the kids are impressive. My own children go there, and I can't imagine having been a middle schooler or an elementary school kid being challenged the way they are with all the different things they've got on their plates and still achieving at a high. I just don't know how I would have responded, but to see kids do it well, that's really all we're in this for, right?
Absolutely.
So it's been great, and it comes with its accolades. I wouldn't tell you that we started off the school thinking all these things were possible. I think what we wanted to do was build the best campus we could, and fortunately for us, it's worked out really, really well.
That's great. Well, and of course, high academic expectations, a lot of honors and only pre-AP classes. So again, that high academic rigor. And then you also walk them through 7 different areas of the art, or 6 different areas of the arts. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that they get to experience while at Caldwell.
Sure, and I'll touch on one more thing about the academic since you pointed out about rigorous curriculum. I think for the public out there that may not really understand, these tests are really hard for kids. The STAR test is no easy task, and I would challenge any adult to go pull up a STAR test and take it.
I don't know if I can pass it.
And I tell you what, don't even pull up 7th grade math. I'll tell you, it'll blow your mind. So they're up against some challenges. And so when we think about our art forms, visual arts, digital arts, theater, dance, music is broken up into instruments and vocals. It's both a safe space for kids because it's a break from that rigorous academic work.
Right.
But because they're constantly problem solving, critically thinking, having to tell stories, having to again, music is its own literacy. I think all of that helps prepare them for those challenges. Not only does it do really cool things at our campus, in fact, I'd highly encourage anybody that want to come see our bands. We're going to be out at True Vine celebrating our Blue Ribbon next Tuesday, but I hope people can get a chance to see our jazz band and our rock band, our symphonic orchestra. We're the only campus in the area that has a symphonic orchestra where every instrument's being played because of the way we do our ensemble groups. That is something special for kids. That is something that they can walk away from their student experience. And, I think fondly of my middle school days as a social being. I'm a social, interactive kind of person. But they're going to walk away with even more than that. They're going to be on stages constantly. They're going to be able to present their art to the community constantly.
Lots of performance opportunities.
Lots of performance opportunities. So their memory bank is just riddled with moments, great moments. And I think those 6 art forms help us achieve that goal for those diverse individuals. Not every kid's a performer on a stage. Some are talented artists who, they're gonna change the world one day with their art. And to give them opportunity, for instance, just a couple weeks ago, we were at the Tyler Art Festival, and our kids, we have a market space program where basically kids who have an entrepreneurial spirit and an artist, we give them space to sell their wares. And so they make it, they price it, the money goes straight to them. It's not a fundraiser for us, just to give them a little taste of what they could do for a living, or on the side. As they're all TikTokers and influencers these days, they see themselves in that. But now they see some actual application to, hey, I can make this thing and people want it.
And learn the business side of it, because it's one thing to create something, it's another thing to sell it and figure out how to price it, how to market it, how to get your name out there and find that following for your art form.
Yeah, we had one child who did. They overpriced their art and it sat there all day. But what a lesson, know. And when everybody else is selling, and you put your art up for an amount of money that maybe it is valued at that, 100%. I'm not gonna ever challenge a kid's intellectual property and how they value that, but it teaches you also have a customer who's got to see that same value, and how do you negotiate that, and how do you work that? So super cool stuff, that I just get to watch it. I don't have any role really other than just being proud. I mean, really.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Well, let's talk about how y'all help students realize their gifts and their talents and potential. Y'all have like this whole system in place. Of course, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. Anybody that knows me knows that I love this. So, of course, I love the idea that y'all have in place of the house system. Yeah. Kind of tell me how that works and how it benefits the school and the students.
Sure. So, like many, Harry Potter just really struck a chord in our culture. I don't think just because the books were really great. I think it promoted the idea of family and going to a school where you felt connected and you felt a part of a team. So, many years ago, not that we're the first school to ever do it or they're going to be the last school, but we wanted to do something similar, because I personally feel that kids do better in schools where they feel connected and they feel like I'm seen. So that's the premise. How do we get kids to do that in a K-8 environment? Well, one of the ways is that program. So having the different houses gives them camaraderie towards that house. They love wearing their house colors. They love competing for the points because we do have a house cup. At the end of the year, it's a big, huge trophy about yay big that they get to celebrate and have their name or their house name on. But every 9 weeks, we have a house winner too. So if you go by our school, you'll see a colored flag out. Well, that's the current house winner.
Okay.
So right now it's Pegasus. I'm an Orion, so that goes.
Okay. So even the staff are in houses.
Oh, all the staff, yeah, and it's all based on families too. So like all my kids are in the same house with me, and they'll stay in that house. And when they get into middle school, we did discover that the middle school kids want something a little different. So their 6 houses collapse into 2 houses or 3 houses.
Okay.
And so we call their elementary legacy houses. It's where they come from.
Right.
And now they're in a new house, but they still stay with the kids,
original group.
The original group. So very complex, to talk about it. It sounds like a lot. But because we've been doing it for so long, it's pretty natural. The parents love it.
It's just integrated into the school culture.
Yeah, parents buy house shirts and they wear them out and about because I think they're like you, and me. They're Harry Potter fans. They like to be a part of something and talk about it. And they help us decorate our house parties, and we play games every 9 weeks to celebrate their achievements in houses. So everything's about the house system as much as we can. So.
And so they've got the colors, they've got the shields, and then there's even character traits. I've got a list here. So these traits are based on freedom, courage, gratitude, justice, service, innovation, leadership, creativity, and bravery. So I guess different houses represent different character traits. How do you work that into their education through this house system?
Well, so to give it a little bit of background, the first 6 traits that you stated were a part of the original elementary houses. Those came from John F. Kennedy, because John F. Kennedy was a big proponent of the arts. That's why you have the Kennedy Center in D.C. So everything we've done, we've tried to tie to who we are. So those first were all about traits that he believed in, that we felt that artists and really a community could get behind. And then we added the other 3 when we built in the middle school. But we incorporate it monthly. So leadership is out of the gate, similar to leadership in Lighthouse and all that. We use that in the September. And we try to do activities, or we try to give even parents connections to how would leadership look at home. Is that, taking out the trash? Is that, reading to a sibling? Just what would leadership look like? So we try to promote that at home every month. This upcoming month is courage. So what does courage look like, and how do you do it? And trying to integrate that into our morning meetings and our advisory classes. So taking curriculum from Leader in Me, taking our house traits, just weaving it all together so that kids see the application. One of my favorites is gratitude. I think that all of us need more gratitude these days with just the blessings we all have. And so I think connecting traits to actual practices is really important to us. Freedom will be our November because it's Veterans Day, and we want to talk about these stories with kids so that they don't just look at these words and go, well, that sounds neat.
Right.
But it's more than neat. It's something.
This connects them to those words and really helps them to understand what it means to have gratitude or show gratitude or any of these other traits. That's so fun. Well, I can't wait to see who wins the House Cup for this year.
Oh, I know. It's Pegasus. Pegasus is on a roll right now, so we'll see.
Yeah, how fun. Well, let's talk a little bit about student expectations and student behavior. Y'all also have some things in place for that, including your Acting Right behavior system. What is all involved in that?
Whew, man, we're hitting all the cylinders today. So the Acting Right, again, going back to arts schools and art integration. Art integration being where you would take an art form and you would take a content form like math and you'd put them together, where you're using the art form to measure the success of mastery in the math class. So let's say we're learning about numbers and we were to paint a representation of a place valued set of numbers. So if it's 233, what would it look like artistically for the 200, the 30, and the 3 if you broke it down? And you'd have to see it to understand a little bit more, but you can't do all that if kids don't know how to cooperate, if they can't focus, and if they can't be in control of their bodies, because you're going to do a lot of movement. You're going to do a lot of things happening. So acting right comes from a group, Focus 5, and they promote this type of behavior development because of the work we're going to do in the art form. So every day, right after our digital or online Star News, a song comes up, and every kid gets up. They know to get around into a circle, and they're going to go through a process where they're going to be in control of their voice, their mind. They're going to focus on their concentration, and they're going to work on collaboration. And they go through a sequence of motions, and it's really called a contract. You are saying today, this is the work you're going to do. And we might do that throughout the day as well. It's not just in the morning. It's used in transition times, and it's just a quick, less than 5 minutes to really engage our bodies. I think even as adults, we have to sometimes breathe a little bit when we're stressed out or what have you. So it's just teaching kids that process of self-regulation and self-control in I think a very safe way of doing it. And we've been doing it for a long time. So if you ever come to our school and you hear that music, you'll see kids just get up, they'll do it,
they just
and then
know.
they just go back.
And I love how teachers even give them focal points so that they can help them with their concentration and that they do that. So they're rehearsing and practicing being in control of their body, their voice, their mind, just all of it in one. That's really neat. Let's talk a little bit about the process. I mean, somebody's listening to this right now and they're like, I want my kid to go to that school. There is a process. Y'all are a magnet school. You do not have to live in Tyler ISD to apply, which that's a misconception that's sometimes out there. So you can live in another school district and apply, and that's coming up January 1.
Yes. It's always fast and furious. Because we're going to wake up and it's going to be January 1. So as much as you might think it's early, I would start planning ahead because, again, applications will come out January 1st. We will have at least 2 audition dates. Sometimes we have to have 3. We've even done up to 4, just depending on how many students we have apply. You'll give us the information we need, and then on the audition day, your student will do a 6th discipline rotation. So all the forms I talked about, they'll do a version of that, depending obviously if they're kindergarten through 8th grade. It looks a lot different based on the grade level. But I tell parents, don't fret. You mentioned it. We're not American Idol.
Right.
We're not America's Got Talent.
And you're looking at the whole child.
We are.
Because there's also teacher recommendations, behavior, attendance. You've got all of that. That's also the grades. You've got all of that, and then they go through this process. And I do like the fact that it is grade level appropriate. So it does look a little different as you move up through your education on where they should be according to how old they are.
Yeah. So like with kindergartens is the one I get the most, like how do you tell art talent? Well, we're really looking for creative aptitude. Right. A child that can come in and tell a story, maybe about how to eat an apple or show us that, something real simple. Music, steady beat, can you hear a rhythm and say a rhythm? But we also look at how they interact with their peers. That's going to be important down the road.
Right.
Not because we are judging necessarily the kid that might be over here wondering, who knows, that could be their creative aptitude. But there are definitely things that make a student successful in our environment with as fast-paced as it is, the academic rigor that we've got. They're pulled from class all the time, so they've got to be flexible and adaptable. So that's really the process. And yes, it's going to look completely different. Kindergarten, they're going to go through a pre-screener and things like that. And then when they get into, first and up, it's just those rotations. And they're with teachers. And so it's really a day in the life of an art student. It's not you're on a stage and everybody's judging you.
Right.
You're rotating through with a
and
group.
You're in small groups.
Yeah, and we have our leaders, our middle school leaders are always with the kids. So they're kind of guide posting that. We obviously have multiple adults in each room, so it takes about 2 hours on those audition dates to get it done for the kid, and then We put all those scores together and
You look at the
basically,
rubric.
that's
Yep.
it. It's all blind. We don't know who the kids are. It's all numbered. So it's just really the highest rank down and whatever spots we might have open. So
Okay, well,
yeah.
that's pretty amazing. Well, definitely put that January 1st date on your
Yes.
calendar if you're interested in that, and you can always get more information at tylerisd.org/Caldwell. Well, we have covered a lot of ground
We
today.
did, in a very fast way.
In regards to Caldwell Arts Academy. Is there any other information that you would like to share with families, or any other thoughts that you would like for the public to know about?
I think the one thing I'll just add is I hope people see in the Tyler ISD community, but also broadly, that, we are one magnet school. There are multiple magnet schools, but when it comes to what we get to do every day and what many schools in this district are doing, I think I've always said we're a litmus test to how great our community is pushing innovation, pushing something different in an environment of East Texas that I grew up in, that just, I don't want to state my age, but 20 years ago plus, I don't know if you would have asked me back then if we'd be where we are. So just sitting in the CTC Center and sitting in a podcast like this, I take great pride as a community member, as a former Tyler ISD student, as a principal, all the things. I take really big pride in what our school is doing, but what we're doing as a collective. So I don't want that to be remiss, it's just because it's about our recognition today. I think it's a symbol of something really great happening in Tyler, and I just hope it continues to grow.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Markle, principal of Caldwell Arts Academy. And thank you for checking out this latest episode of Talks with Tyler ISD. If you're interested in staying connected with all things Tyler ISD, be sure to download our app. You can also subscribe to our district newsletter at get.tylerisd.news. We would like to thank our sponsor, Texas Bank and Trust. Subscribe to Talks with Tyler ISD on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Please share this episode with your friends and family.